I'm Sivarama Prasad, a visiting faculty at IARE. Today we would like to take up one important aspect of design thinking, that is ideate and idea pitching. And please note that these lectures or these notes, these PPTs and all presented with an interest of giving more and more information to the students. So it contains more content or more notes like written matter in the slides. It may not be like a regular professional presentation, but the purpose for which it is prepared is mainly a student getting more and more information even without directly taking into the class. So you should have more content and you should have more notes. That is the main intention. So you have to bear with me for such type of class. If you see in the design thinking, it is more of a mindset than a core subject or method or anything. It is more of a mindset that you have to be very creative. You have to be more of a problem solving type, and it is action oriented, and your motto should be service. And at the end of it, you should have the joy of doing something or helping someone, or other person also should feel that yes, his need is served, his problem is solved, and he got a very joyful solution like that. So this starts with user or customer or human centric. Unlike olden days where it is technology centric or sometimes product centric. So though we take customer orientation to the picture, it is at the beginning only or at the end only. In between it is not there. So there used to be a lot of gap between the start to the end. And so the product is more of a technology oriented than the service oriented of a customer. This problem was noticed of late. And so this design thinking and a mindset, and it is what? You have to see anyway the position of the product, where you want to give, and how, what, all those things. And when you are looking at the position, you have to see very carefully. Are you addressing a value for money item, a functional item, or a convenience item, or a comfort item, or it is more of a novelty appealing, or it is just as per the choice of the customer, or out of all, it may be a high desire dream product. Each one has got a different thinking, and each one has got a different type of customers, and each one will have a different type of addressing the issue from the technology point of view or from the business point of view. So this desirability of area is very important. But if you see, always there are people needs, and always there are technologies, and always there is a business. In general, they stand separately and they stand alone like a coins in chessboard. Someone has to take an initiative and merge them together and see that the intersection point where it really comes into that. For that, the person who is doing it is not just a professional, but he has to be more of a understanding type, and empathy, curiosity, clarity, and also the patience to do iterations is very important. So with this background, we'll get into the idea pitching. It is actually a next step after define. First is empathy, that means data collection with a human oriented. Then defining a problem statement, coming to a real issue. Then comes these ideas. This is the first step of solution. And from here only, it starts thinking, generating the ideas, and the ideas have to be taken to the design. It is in between this idea pitching comes. And this is more of a group exercise, and it is a more of a team effort. And you have to see a brainstorming and collect a lot of ideas, think divergently, creatively, and come out again back to conclusion like with convergent or critical thinking. You have to focus on to desirability, feasibility, viability, sustainability. Then get into communicating to convince the stakeholders or the people who are main supporters for this, that is investor, entrepreneur, and as an individual, sometimes as an employee, sometimes as an entrepreneur, or sometimes only as a professional. That means all the things, all the people have got different ways of dealing with this. And if you see all these things, the entire idea pitching, the initiatives are mainly to see a happy, satisfied customer and also a happy and satisfied stakeholders. Generally, it all starts with customer needs. You will identify there is a need, there is a problem, and there is an opportunity to fulfill or serve. So the main objective is when you find something needed for a customer, you have to fulfill that requirement. It can be a service or a product. At this time, you are there. You have found it. Then you will start with some imagination and then bring in creative ideas. And your thinking capability with the background of the core knowledge, it will be creative, innovative, unique, or something novel. So you are trying to bring in a lot of ideas onto the table. Then you will search for the technology. That is how you have to do that, how you have to realize that. From a subject, thinking subject to, you have to bring it to the application level. Then you have to find an entrepreneur. It may be yourself, or you may have to look for a supportive others where they have the capabilities to execute, and they will convert your idea or process into a real product, and they will make it into a commercialized thing. That is where the innovation of doing things comes. So the need has come into the idea, idea has come into the doing. Then an entrepreneurship which really commercializes and it gives value to the customer. And also it creates a marketplace. For that, in between you need some investors also. That means who are providing the right resources. Either it can be funding or manpower or place or licenses or anything, whatever it is. These investors, they mainly focus on to the critical resource of funding. And when they are funding, their expectations will be very high on returns. So you have to convince. Then finally, when you are giving the product to the customers, they are new in the market and they are first time seeing a product. So when you give it, they should be impressed. All these things, the first seed is at that stage of idea pitching. And more than all these things, being a designer, being an engineer, it is your duty to bring all together and take a lot of efforts, initiatives, and make it a product and give it to the customer. That means end-to-end solution. It is your duty. So you have to take that ownership. Otherwise, if you take halfway, this project will not go through. And at the time of idea pitching, you should keep this in your mind. Yes, I am going to take it to the end. Not that closing. You have to take it to the end, to the delight of the customer and also to the delight of the stakeholders. You have to keep up your promise and execute it to that level. So when you start, yes, there are some people needs, there are some technologies, and there are some business and bottom lines. When they are separate, they just stand alone. There is no any relation between them. You have to take it and start with human centric desirability. That is, people wanted it, so we have to do it, find ways and means, and we shall make it viable and give it in the market. To that, you have to find a innovative solution. That should be our main objective. With that idea, when you start, all these three, that is desirability, feasibility, and viability, they get into a converging shape and they merge together and they will intersect at a point where you are giving the solution for that. Unless this left hand side changes into the right hand side, there is no project or there is no product. Everybody is great in their field, but the customer doesn't get served. How it is done? You will find a lot of problems, but when these three are separate, you have to see that is it worth solving? You need not touch all the problems available in the world, but you have to touch a problem which is worth solving and which gives value to the customer and also value to the concerned and relevant people who are in the team. For that, you have to see deeply, not just at surface level. You have to see deeply and also you have to understand it better. It is not just taking notes and selecting it and doing it. You have to understand. What is it you have to understand? You have to understand the real pain point. Is it an unresolved issue? Or is it an unserved issue? Or it is a underserved issue? Or is there uneasiness for the customer? Is he feeling uncomfortable while doing this? So these things you have to pinpointedly get into that. Normally when you go to the customers, there will be different types and majorly you can say two types. The two types also, one expresses whole lot of issues. The minute you touch, he will start pouring in. Others, they say, we don't have any problems. They keep quiet. Anyway, when the people are expressing themselves, you got the issues. It doesn't mean that the people who told we have no problems, it is not that they are not really having problems. They do have it. They have much deeper and much severe problems. You have to dig deep into that, and for that you have to apply all your techniques of empathy, and you have to work with them, observe with them, live with them, involve with them in every aspect. Then only you will get the real problem or pain point of them to surface. Once you know all these things, that is the first step. finding the customer problem of worth solving. Then all these three circles, you have to bring them together by exploring the possibilities, creative ways, solving methods. You bring in potential ideas and skills, then it becomes attain the problem solution fit stage. That means the three circles started moving together and slowly getting into a merging shape. And you have to create a space that is an innovative space wherein that space stands. If it is just a point, it may anytime it will break. So you have to bring it together and really create a sufficient space, that is attain product and market fit. There should be a customer, there should be a market, and there is a time within which you can make it better. Until such time, it really will not get into the marketplace. So then you will get ready for the scaling. Then that stands for some time in the market. Until such time, it is idea pitching. That means you have to create a project or an idea or a presentation to such an extent, you should go deep into that reports, recommendations, and explain present case with clarity and how we are going to solve it. And it will stand for a long time or at least for some time before which you can improve it further. To get that, you also should think about your supporting team of manufacturing, marketing, customers, users, suppliers. All these things you have to see. Anywhere there is a gap, it will obstruct and it will not make the project successful. And all these people, if they think when you are giving your presentation of the project or idea, if they get a feel of great, then it will stand for a long time. Otherwise, until you create such oh feeling, you should not stop or start the next stage. You should get into that stage. So many creative ideas or innovative things you have to develop and make it that intersecting point space more and more. Then only it is long standing. So here you got lot of ideas. How you really get into that? First, you have to take an entire list, whichever is collected without any limitations, openly and freely. Then you have to find a preparatory work through some questionnaires, and you yourself have to, with the team, realize and also come to a conclusion which are worth pitching the idea. There may be some things which you may not, on the first stage itself, you may strike it off. Then from that, we should think what is the scope, and then to whom we have to present, and what are their perspectives. And these are all in a direction of solution side. That means it is not that we want to stop. Our idea is to move forward and get into a solution mode. So towards that objective, we should study, scope, present, all those things. Then while doing that, you have to evaluate the ideas also with a logical or scientific or intuitive or based on the experience. You have to find out and you have to come to an evaluation, a professionally checking importance of it or priority, relevance, and is it a desirable function or is it a sustainable one. All these things you have to evaluate. Then finally you have to make it a presentation. So this presentation, when you present it or when you present this idea to the people who are you are supporting for making or for manufacturing or for marketing or for converting that into a real product for the customer. Some ideas you have to be very crisp and clear, and in some cases you have to explain it so deep that you have to get full support of the people who are going to make it. And here, this is why it is so important is this is the step at which the real decision is taken, and it is going to give a turning point. And finally, all the works, whatever you have done, it may get into a waste or it may get into a worth. That's why you should be very careful in presenting. Suppose you have a very good idea, there is a very good customer, but still, if your presentation is not appealing, then the man who is giving a decision, he may just reject it and you have to break that project. Or sometimes there may be a very bad idea and you may be presenting it very nicely. Then if you get successful implementation approval, you are doing harm. That is, you are spending for a non-existent problem or an opportunity which is not there. That's why both ways you have to do justice. And please remember, it is your responsibility and it is your accountability to make it a success. At the end, you may have to take the blame, whether you take the fame or not, but you have to take the blame because you are generating with an idea of making it a success. So everybody can comment, everybody can blame you, but you should not get bogged down by that. If it is a real one, good one, you have to proceed. And at the end of the day, when you are successful, all these people will come to you and say, very good, you have done a great job. So you should not think of this in-between thing, but you should give due attention for that and take care of solving all the issues. So at the time of preparation, you yourself have to think within your team. Different questions are there, and these are only a guidelines. It is not that if these questions are answered, you are good. No, this is just a glimpse of it. You have to find more and more questions to see. When you are starting, you should have answers for all these things. Then only you will get a confidence to make a first step. Something like, what problem does this solve? That means that is the first clarity. What is the problem? And are you going to really solve this problem or not? And second thing is it a real problem? You have an evidence of it, or you are just thinking of it, or you are only assuming that there could be a problem. It is something like seeing a rope and thinking that it is a snake. You are getting all the ammunition and tools to kill it. And finally, you found that it is just a rope. It should not be like that. That means you should have the problem clarity and also evidence of it, and the sufferers of, you would have seen it and you would have experienced empathetically the problem or suffering or seen the evidence. And next is it really important to solve? Sometimes some problems we live with it, either because of viability or either because of bearability, whatever it is. Sometimes you live with that. If you want to solve that problem, sometimes you may not be profitable and you may not be able to continue that. At the same way, if you have to solve that problem, is there any logical issues or logistic issues? You may have thought of a solution, but it is somewhere in Australia and you are not able to bring it to our local Dundigal or this place. Then you can just read it and leave it. You cannot make it happen. Like this, you have to see whether you can really make it and show it to the people around you. This idea is workable, or whether the organization is ready to solve, or it can solve, or are you capable to solve, or if you started, suppose in between, if you leave it, what is the next activity? So, all these things people will be thinking, and that's why the scope before that, this preparatory work, you should do carefully. And one thing you remember, you are very good. Everybody will say, oh, you are a very nice man, good man, everything. But no one will pay for a solution where there is no issue. Suppose you have a bright idea, but the customer is not having any issue with that. He doesn't even require a solution. Suppose if you express it, he may just say good, appreciate it, but he will never take it. It is something like sometimes you go to exhibition, you will find a beautiful art. We see it, we appreciate it, we write lot of comments, appreciating words, but you may not really need it, so you will not buy it. The minute they tell rate or the cost or whatever it is, you will not even take it, you will just walk away. Same way, there no existing problem, then your solution, your idea, however good it may be, no one will pay for it. And the opportunities also, it is very rare they fall at your feet. Most of the times, you have to seek and you have to go there and develop it. And generally, where there is a need, where you have to attack means, mostly people, when they are doing a job, they are not so enjoyable, or they are becoming efficient, less efficient as they move on, or it is becoming difficult, or sometimes it is boring. It is a recurring job which they are boring and they don't want to continue it. See, these are the areas, good opportunities to make a potential solution. You have to find out that. And another thing is, if you have a lot of ideas and opportunities, but they are not ready to make money, no entrepreneur will come to you. They may just appreciate you. Are you are a very good man, you are a creative man, but he will not put money on you because he will not get back his money. Why? Because all your ideas are fancy ideas. They don't add value, or they don't remove the pain, or they don't solve the problem, or they are not very specific to a customer who are tailor made or customer specific. So you have to keep in mind, you have to address this. And generally, if you want to attack it, aggressively go. It should be a pain point. If it is a pain point, sure you will be paid. That's why generally people select needs first, then go into the next. Once the need is served, they try to give it a convenience. Then they go into the comfort. Then they go into a specifically choice or a varieties. Like that they go. Generally, if you'll see, suppose you are standing for a train. First you will see, at least if train comes, it is okay. After getting into the train, then your need is solved. That means satisfied. You got the train, so you will reach the destination guarantee. Then you will start thinking for a convenience or a comfortable seat, or a next a choice seat of window seat, something like that. So every step the man desires go up and up, and that time the investor, the designer or the manufacturer, the business entrepreneur also, he will be with you to go ahead and satisfy you at every stage with you, and he will also be successful by creating a better market. That's why the employees, they will learn the technical skills, and the entrepreneurs along with that skills, they learn business skills. Then only they can make the opportunity, realize it, and they can sustain the growth. Employee will be interested in his career or realizing the product or only performing the work. But the entrepreneur, he will be working on satisfying the customer, taking the idea further and product further, and go for wealth generation, economic growth, all these things. So that he is trying to uplift the society. Whereas employee or a normal person is always focusing on to the skills and performance. Entrepreneur will be looking at sustaining it and taking it to a higher level. In the same way, scope of idea. These things you can go through in a normal organization with a different thinking. Here, it differs with the different companies and different policies and all. So it is limiting your boundaries or creating boundaries or limitless. So where you want to pitch it, is it local or global, or is it only to the extent of needy persons, or is it for the getting into a premium segment, or is it a new organization, or it is an existing organization, or it is only a small improvement over further over the existing one, or it is a totally new feature, a risky one, and you are going to get into a new lifestyle. These are all the scope. That means you have to be clear on this. Is it a narrow one, or it is a grand one, or is it an in between? So these things you have to work out for yourself. It is specific to the product, or it is specific to the field based on the marketing and also the customer needs. And these are some of the questions. All these are a model questions or examples to show you, but you can create your own questionnaires and all. Here, what comes is your imagination and your creativity. It is not that brain will always give something. Brain has to be questioned. Then it will start giving answers. And from that answers, you get a creative products and ideas. That is why to inspire or to trigger the brain, these are some of the questions. Is there a new way to do it? Suppose you are doing it in a way, you stop that. From tomorrow onwards, you don't do it. Suppose one dictator comes and tells, from tomorrow onwards, this road is blocked. Then you will find another route. Can you borrow or can you adopt? Can you twist it? Can you merely need something more? Or you just want to substitute? Or you want to avoid it? Or is there anything thinking of a totally opposite one? Will it work? Or you are trying to combine it? So like this, if you start questioning it, some restrictions, some opposite, some improvements, some breakthroughs, you will get totally a different solution. And at the same time, you should think some concern points also. If you're always looking for giving, what is it called? Always right. That means perfect answer only I want to give. Then a lot of ideas get killed inside your mind itself. You express it. Don't look for correct answer. It is not an exam paper. If it is an exam paper, yes, you are right. You have to write a right answer. Otherwise, you will get 0 marks. It is not that. It is an open forum where you have to bring in a lot of ideas. From that ideas, people will select the right answer. So, giving a right answer is not in your hand. Giving Ideas is only in your hand. So write or evaluation, someone else will do it. So you be open and give it. And sometimes you want to be logical within your mind, you cannot express anything. And many a times when it is creative or new idea, it demands a change. And with change, there is a risk also. When there is a risk, not many will support it. Or orally people may tell, yes, go ahead, I am there with you. But really when you want, they may not be there. And so you have to be very careful with the risk, how much support you get, and when there is no support, how you will carry it through. That also you should be careful. And if you are following the rules, generally you will never be creative. You just follow the rule and do it. It is done. If you want to follow the rule, unless you break it, you will not be creative. But that doesn't mean that I will break it to do a fraud. No. Breaking the rules is only to find a creative solution for bettering the existing, not for using the shortcut. And if you are always practical, there is no theory, you will not get ideas. For example, you see any movie, entire fights, entire duets, entire scenes, most of the times they are not practical, but still people do it. Then only a creativeness brings a joy and entertainment for you. If you are seeing only the practical things of your regular thing, you will not get joy. You are already doing it. So what is there in that? So to get a creativeness, you have to not to be practical. Then you will get ideas. After getting the ideas, make it practical. That is the way. It is not that stopping by thinking it is theoretical. Get to the theory and make it into a practice. And sometimes you say it is very silly or not very serious like that. So such things you should remove it. And also ambiguity, clarity and ambiguity. If you are ambiguous, no, you should be very clear. Means the first instance you will not be clear. You will be unclear. Slowly you have to make it clear. Same way, foolish. Suppose sometimes people will be shy to tell anything, thinking that they may laugh at you or they may think you're a fool. You should lose that and just be open and tell. Sometimes from very foolish ideas only, the real innovation starts. Many a times, it is not just one or two. On many occasions we have seen, but also you would have experienced also. And if you think of failure, that means mistakes, fear of failure, you should come out of it. Unless you do these things, you will not be able to really give a creative idea. If it is not a creative idea, if it is no novelty, no uniqueness, then while doing idea pitching, people may not take it very serious and they may say, it is already there. What is the great thing you are going to do? Like that, they may just throw it off. So to create a more interest and enthusiasm, you have to be more creative. When you want to be more creative, you have to look like these questions and answer it. Then comes to whom you have to tell. You cannot go to every roadside corner and tell, I have this idea, I have that. It is of no use. So who has got the authority and who is going to give you the proper approval and who will take it forward, from whom you want to take the guidance and whom you think they are the real people who will make it happen. You have to be think like and go to them for this idea. And also, it is not only the decision maker, but many a times you have to see who are influencing the decision maker. and who are supporting him, who are really preparing the things for him. They are also very important. If they are convinced, most of the times the power deciding power man also will be going in line with that. So you have to be very clear and you have to think of it before giving the idea to whom. You cannot just like that tell everywhere in the newspaper and tell my idea is there. Nobody is there to work and all. You have to give it to the right person. This is very important in this idea pitching. And you should also know how a decision is made and how they approach for finalizing the project or finalizing the idea. You should know at least some basic knowledge of it. If you see basically thinking first, what it tells is if all these works are earlier done, they are established processes and the data is very reliable and it is very neatly structured and the issue is clear, just by thinking itself, people will okay it. Oh, it is working already there, so I am confident I will sign it. Next one is seeing first. Here what comes is some area is there, it was working, you are trying to improve it above that, and it is a marginal one or a nominal one, and it is sometimes significant, insignificant. At that times, you need only a small experiment to confirm or to verify whether that works or not. So in such cases, you have to see the project. That means you have to go to the site, you have to see some experiments being done, and you have to see some results which are already given. These things are important. Otherwise, the small doubts, they will create a hitch to approve or to say okay. In such cases, some amount of experience, some amount of theory, both have to merge and logically or conclusively they have to give. So such cases, you have to do some experiments and show the experimental results also. Next one is doing first. That means it is a very creative one. This is the first time. There are no any references. Then in such case, it is a very complicated one. Unless you prove, at least in a lab level, nobody is going to say yes for you. Whether it is people working with you or people who have to approve it. So where your idea is it sitting in the first green box or red box or the blue box? Where it is sitting, accordingly you have to work and give the supportive document. Documents in the sense supportive works to give confidence and clarity. And the next one is you have to see what actually is their perspective. The man or the team or the agency which is going to approve or which is going to say yes for the next activity, what are their perspectives? How do they think about the surroundings or global or regional, or what kinds of business things they are interested, and how they take it, these type of presentations. Are they really serious or just a fancy one? And these views, these things are very important. Otherwise, you are presenting it to a wrong thinking man. That means, for example, you are presenting a building project and you are going to give it to a man who is highly software. That means programming, who is very good in programming. If that man is sitting to approve a civil project of a road laying or anything, it doesn't work well. In the same way, suppose a civil engineer or a civil man or a normal core engineering person who is sitting on the other side and who is going to talk about satellite launching or rocket launching. The perspectives doesn't match and the proper importance may not be given. So you have to be very careful while doing this. It is not only on the technical side, also on the business side, also on the marketing side. All these three, you have to be very careful. You see, at the initial stages, it may not be so critical, but as you go up in the ladder, these things becomes very, very useful. And when you want to see the evaluation methods, basically it starts with these three, that is desirability, feasibility and viability. Out of this also, the first one is desirability. That means customer and a unique selling point. Suppose only desirability is there, will it work? No. There is nobody to make it, or there is no viable project who can really do it. Such times, it is only a dream. It is only customer will be waiting. Who will solve me? Who the God will come and save me? Like that, he will be searching. That's all. Nobody will work on that. And the second way, feasibility is there, and desirability and viability is not there. That means you are technically a great man, but the product has no customer, and the product, because of the cost or because of the facility or because of the logistics, there is nobody to really make it. Suppose viability alone is there, that means there is a wealth, there is a lot of money, venture capitals are there, startups, they are funding, but really there is no customer and there is no method how to do it. Then the money will be there, the funds will be there, but product will never come out. Suppose we merge two, desirability and feasibility. Yes, there is a customer and there is a method how to do it, but it is not going to be a viable one. Then nobody will make it. Even if they make it, they will just make it like an exhibition piece and leave it. Secondly, desirability and viability is there, but that means customer is there, investor is there, but there is no process to make it. There is no solution for it. Manufacturing is not possible. Then it doesn't serve purpose. In the same way, feasibility and viability. You are very strong and technically super and finance wise or resource wise fantastic, but there is no market, there is no desirable person at all, then it is of no use. So your idea, if it solves only one or two, it doesn't work. And in fact, they will just throw it off. So to start with, at least you should touch the three. There is someone who wants it, and there is a process, you can find it, and that process is affordable and you can make it viable. Unless these three are there, the project or the idea will not even take off. After taking off, there are two more points which you have to see. That is scalable. When it took off, it is successful. Suppose there is a heavy demand. Can you make it in volumes, in mass production? So you have to think of that also. Scalability. And scalability is the main requisite for sustainability. Suppose scalability is not there, you can only make two or three, and fourth one you cannot make it means, then this idea will not sustain for a long time. And it is of no use. It is just a short term. You will make 100 numbers and be happy. You satisfy your ego and you serve some of your close people, and then that's all. That means it is not a business project. It is only a self project where only a limited people are happier. It is not a self-generating, useful for the society. Then what happened is, these three are really a starting point. But when you have to stand and you have to sustain, you have to take it forward. It is not that small projects, yes, even short period, if they leave, it is okay. But big projects, they have to live for a longer time and they have to sustain. That sustaining is an important one. And especially, it should be self-generating and it should create a circular economy. So it is a environmental inventor. That means when you launch a product, there should not be any issue from the environment. Not only friendly environment, other surroundings, other supporting elements. It should be supporting and everybody should be growing. Otherwise, the sustainability becomes a problem. And at the same time, impactability. It is recently added. It is a cultural and socio element where it is addressing some of the what you call social elements and also human rights, environmental things, safeties, some new things. Otherwise, the new generation, when you are thinking about the future, the first three is sufficient for good of past and running the current. But when you are thinking of the future, these two are very important. That is 4 and 5. That's why the 3 circles have become 5 circles. In future, whenever you are working, it is better you work with these 5. So, in a consolidated way, these are the first level basic checks: desirable, viable, feasible, and sustainable, and some questionnaires wherein it will address the basic level checks. Once it addresses these, your idea is on the right path. If it is not able to serve or even answer these questions, then it is not that its idea is bad, but you have to improve it and ensure that it gets into a further life. Sustainability, these are some of the questions which are impacting physical, physiological, environmental, human rights. These are all the things which are coming newly. So, in the olden things, these are not there, but in future, you have to add all these things. We have seen many a times which, when it is generated, when it is invented, it was thought a breakthrough, but after some time, it is becoming an environmental issues or some genetic problems or some surroundings getting spoiled. All these things we have seen with start of the computers, leaving the computer waste into the environment, or developing the plastics, and then now telling that how to dispose of that, or create gases when they go into the upper layer, they are spoiling the ozone layer, or sometimes the heat generation and the temperature, global warming, and also the carbon content. These are all the things developed. When they are developed, it was appreciated. But over a period, we are finding it some issues. So you have to take care of it. To take care of that, this sustainability has added these points. So when you have to evaluate, there are many methods. It is not that you are going to evaluate like a costing or a chartered accountant or a financial man. It is a basic level evaluations. And without evaluation, you may not be able to really take it forward. And there is nothing called this works perfect for every project, nothing like that. There are different ways. You can select whatever way you want to make it success, and after getting a successful results, you can proceed on that, or you can change it to better it. It is something like that. In a simple way, low impact, high impact, low effort, high effort, big, quick, or thankless, or just a fill in. These are the standard terms which very easily you can get into these. So, first one, you can take it as a feasibility. Is it technically feasible? Is the market entry? Is economic feasibility? Is there a legal problem? And these three things, if you are addressing, yes, it gets into a next stage. And the second one is quantitative and qualitative. See, number game and a feeling game. What happens is when it is a new one, and especially when you are working on a creative thinking, whatever numbers you are giving, they are estimates only. It is not that it is a predicted, and it is not the real numbers like what is the last year sales, next year sales, not like that. It is an expected sales or expected market. So you can think for or against both ways. Here you have to be a balance. You should not take it too much the quantity oriented. At the same time, you should not take it too much quality oriented with caution. You have to work with caution. Not that whatever is shown, it may be true. Even if it is 50% is true, whether we are getting out of the problem or is it going to be sustainable. That is a experience feeling plus a scientific one. So these things, feasibility, desirability, viability, that is all the three, taking it, give the rankings, then based on your choice or priority, you just to take it forward. These three is also the first level thinking. And in the second thinking, the time and business value. What is it urgent? If it is urgent, yes, some ranking. And if it is a business value wise, then ranking is different. So that means it is go or no go. For example, if you see some idea you get, suppose there is a patient is emergency, you don't look for some beautiful, comfortable conveyance. You first take him to the place where he can be saved. So at that time, urgency is important. And when there is a need, urgency is important. But when there is not a need, it is a comfort or it is a thing, then business value is important. That means it has to bring in value. Comfort, it may change or you may not take it. Whereas need is not like that. Need is an urgent one. Whereas these things, so you have to work out. If you are going to get into urgent, need, then you have to be urgent. That solution has to be immediate. Whereas if it is a value wise, you have to think and score ideas based on your different experiences. So this is how they just plot it. Some of the graphs. You can get more details into these by getting into the subject specifically. Here we are touching only the general methods which to make you aware. These are all the different ways of evaluating for idea pitching. Another thing is just a checklist. You will have some 10 points and out of that you tick it. If everything is getting ticked, then next level. Or only one or two are getting ticked, you take that only into the picture. That is like legal, environmental, negative, competition, who will buy, how much it will cost. These are the simple level checklists. Then there is awareness, trial, availability, repeat. These are some of the questions. If you answer this, it will give a confidence. That means how big the market or this product is aware of it, or this product will get into such a big market, or is there a willingness to try this? That means sometimes a new product, people have to be willing to try. Otherwise, if everybody feels it is unsafe, hazardous, then they will not touch at all. Or if it is culturally against, or it is what you call that, regionally some practices, cultures are there. Suppose you get into that, then nobody will try also. And availability. If there is a need, can you make it available? Do you have so much of resources, or do you have so much of raw material, or do you have logistics? Can you do it? And another thing is repeat. Will this product is a repeat product, or once in a while, or is a seasonal one, or it is just for an emergency? Like, for example, a cancer drug. It's only emergency. It is not regular product. Whereas you go to Dolo, a fever, a cold, it is a regular product. Or sometimes repeatable, like our dialysis, or our thyroid problems, or BP problems, or sugar problems. You see, they are repeatable. That means every month you have to buy. Every day you have to take it. Whereas Dolo or they are seasonal, only when you are getting fever. Or you get into life-saving drugs. They are only once in a while. In entire man's life, he may use or he may not use. So like that, you have to evaluate. The next one is concept. The concept means idea cost, business bottom line. So these things. Here comes quick wins. What is this is? You will just rate it. Like suppose you get some thousands of ideas, you will just rate it with 1 or 2 points. There everybody will vote it and everybody will put their priority, and whichever is higher you take it, whichever is bad you just throw it off. Here there is no big logic, but it is a simple things. It is not a complicated ideas, anything. These simple things. So you can just quick pass fail. Pass fail also something like that. It is a mass giving a questionnaire, they will answer it, and from their gut feeling or from their scientific feeling, you just evaluate it. Next is budget, time frame, culture fit, or practical viability. These are some of the things where you check these above quick wins and pass fail. You just give 1 or 2 points only. It is not that everything he has to do. He will take the idea, he will check it. Budget wise, it is good. Yes. Time frame, no. It is long time. Fit wise, it definitely doesn't fit. Or practical viability, it is very easy. So out of these, by just taking it, you will evaluate statistically and you will come to a conclusion. Yes, 75% of people told this is viable, so we take it. Another simple one is opportunities, threats, strengths and weaknesses. You just take it, risky or not risky, weak or threat, these things. This is also one way of evaluation. And many a times you have to select a right criteria. It is not that I will select every criteria and get confused. There is no point in selecting it. So most of the things, if you want to take it, it is a time, it is a cost, or it is an impact, potential impact on monetary or business or ownership. Is it linked to our goals? Sometimes what happens, it may be very good idea, but you are in a hotel business, but you have to do it a defense project. It doesn't fit into our strategic goals. Or sometimes it is a item, appliance item, but this item is a service oriented where we don't have the strategic linking in that. So these criteria you have to select. Once you select criteria, you can give the importance for it, and you can give a scoring for that. Different ideas, you'll get different scorings, and based on that, you will arrive at a method, a weighted average, or scientifically and also experience wise. It gives a tabular column wherein it shows a direction towards decision making. So, like these, you have to take it. Normally, how people take it is start with the first one, a quick one, take it, then get into filter mode like awareness, clarity, threat, trial, availability, and repeatability, these things. And then get into urgency and business value. So you have to select out of all the 5 or 10 evaluation methods, you select which is relevant to you, and based on that, you evaluate the ideas and come to a conclusion which idea is good, which idea is going to give a breakthrough or useful. Like that, you continue that. That gives a confidence for the man who is deciding. Yes, there is a logic behind it. There is an evaluation method, or you may change it also. This gives a way for successful launching. This is how you have to get into that. Sometimes what happens is, if you get too many ideas, you may get panic. Don't worry about it. You can just take out which is good and leave it. If you are not getting only, you should be worried. And when you want breakthroughs, you need too many ideas. Then only you will get such a drastic breakthroughs. And when you are selecting, the main thing comes in choosing. Suppose if you choose a wrong method, your scoring will be different and your direction will be totally different. So you should have a correct evaluation method. That's why you have to take the help of some experts in this field and core knowledge people, and also the future finding, the surveys, are the people who are working on the next, what next. Such type of people's help you have to take it here to evaluate your idea and also to get a proper direction. And at the same time, this is for startup students and all. So don't get into too much of that costing and what you call financial workings, too much details and all. Don't go into that. These are the first level checks. That means with a limited knowledge, but with the help of a specialist, and you are getting into a direction of getting into a new mode of working. And finally, you have to develop this idea. Now we have worked out all the things. That means you got the list of ideas, you have taken the brainstorming, and you have worked on the which is good, which is bad, and studied the scope and come out with some evaluation. Now you have to make a report or a presentation or a discussion. Generally, it is like a movie. First itself, you should be very concise and you should explain the problem sentence in just a sentence, and you should tell the catching, that is in a very simple term. You have to tell the problem and solution. It should be catchy. Immediately you should be catching, not like that, sir, there is a one very fine one, and all like that. You cannot tell, because the other man in the first step, if he is not getting that, he may lose interest. And once you got the attention of problem and solution, you have to tell about how you will achieve it. And you have to provide some specific instances while you are describing within what you call as 30 seconds. That means immediately after that first point, you should be able to touch this and catch the person. The minute he gets interest, then you can take some more time. Otherwise, with the first instance itself, you will just throw it up. So this is structure of the pitch. That means within 5 minutes, if you are making it a concise one, within 5 minutes means, for example, it may be about 10 sheets or 5 sheets. First sheet you have explained within 1 minute, and second one, third one. Like that, if you take it, in the first 1 minute itself, you have to catch the attention. You can see it in most of the movies, the trailers, the movie starting, they catch you. It is something like that, you have to go into that. Normally, when you see a project presentation, you have to address initially these three only. What is the challenge? What is the process? What is the solution? That's all. It is not that you are going to write pages and pages. But while giving it, you are standing as a designer. One side, your technical invention is there. Another side, your manager, who is analytical thinking man, who doesn't respect any of your things. He is only worried about figures. So when you are addressing this side and this side, you have to balance it. If you are totally technical, you will not get the support of the analytical thinking businessman. And at the same time, if you are totally business, then you can never make a product. So these two both are important. So once you have done, finally you have to test it and you have to deliver it. When you are delivering this, you should be very, very careful. It may fail also. If it fails, when things are not going well, what you have to do? You have to take it fast. Whatever you have put it, you should immediately take it back. And either you should modify assumptions and approach or relook into the steps and get the feedback, learn the lesson, then start. Normally, if you see how much talented you are is not the main thing, but it is sure at some time you may make some mistakes and you may get into bad habits also. At the time of starting, it is not wrong, it is not a sin. But if you are continuing even after knowing it, then you are doing the biggest sin. And when you are in that sin mode, definitely you will fall. There is no doubt about it. And if you see most of the people who are very successful, or we are normally, the real thing lies not in always they are successful, they are always on the right path. No. They also went into wrong paths. But they have some support or they have some techniques through which they recognize that deteriorating step, and when they are about to fall, they realize that step and immediately track back and they come back to the original, and again they change the course and get into growth path mode. That's why there is nothing mistake. There is no win or there is no fail. You have to start making it, and if you are failing, fail early, take corrective steps and succeed soon. This is how the experience, improvement they work together. It is, and never bring into this E or I or M, never bring ego. If you bring in ego, everything will get into zero. That's why experience, improvement, making it is step by step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that you are going. But if you bring in ego into zero, finally you will become zero. If you want to excel and enjoy, you should never bring ego into this. It is always better. Always think how to improve, how to creatively work. And if you are not able to get anybody, then you have to do it yourself. Because nobody is there to take risk, or nobody is having confidence that it will success. If you are very confident, you can take it, you can do it for yourself, and you can make it a successful. Then everybody will come to you. That's why most of the times, if you are not able to impress other person, you will struggle, because nobody will come to you for help. Nobody will support you. And many times, until they see some success, either physically or mentally, they will not put a hand into your thing. And especially management, you cannot expect management that it will take an initiative to recognize you. It will never. Your initiative should make management to recognize you, not the management's initiative. So all your good ideas, you have to present it, or you have to bring it to such an extent. You have to take an initiative and efforts to such an extent. They give a recognition from supporting team and also management. Then they start supporting you, or then they start funding you. That's why it is purely your job to get a recognition for yourself. Nobody else will work. If you see in our olden days, people used to say, you can take the horse to the pond, but drinking is not in your hands. It has to drink. That was right. So, management or people or whoever is working with you, they appreciate you if you can take the horse to the pond. At least thinking that in a day, at some time, it will get a mood to drink, let it drink. And they say, it is not your job to make horse to drink. So people used to appreciate you if you finish your work of taking the horse to the pond. With an idea, at least next day it will drink. That time was there, patience was there, and also understanding was there. But today in the modern field, modern world, you are on a growth path. If you just even look back in your race, the other man will pass, overtake you. So you cannot even look at your next man, how distance. You have to run faster. That's all. Nobody should be there near to you. You should run faster, and you should always in the winning side. And at that time, you have to do your assigned job. Whether you are doing it or you are getting it done, it depends on your condition. But job should be done, and much faster than what is expected by the customer or boss or management, whatever it is. Unless you are on that path, you will not be on the race, in the race, or you will not be on the growth path. That's why nowadays the new thinking is, you are taking the horse to the pond. You have taken an effort. When you have taken an effort, if the horse is not drinking, you are the loser. Why? You are taking the horse to the pond to get some benefit from the horse. And you have put an effort, you are not getting the benefit. That means you are a loser. So you will be branded as a loser. Naturally, what happens? The loser has to take the initiative. So you have to make or do something so that the horse gets a mood to drink, and after it is drinking, you take the horse on it and ride it and reach your destination faster and much to the delight. That is the present day. So, all these ideas, idea pitchings and all, it is not other man's job. It is our job, specifically individual's job, to get things done for the society and also in turn enjoy. That is how it is taken. Not that I have done my duty, it is yours. No. Change the mindset. That is what user centric. That means until user is happy, it is my responsibility. So get into that and be happy and be successful. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.